Okay, we're in Ayin Vav and Beis. The Mishnah says, in both kingdoms is Bech Lamalach. We just left off yesterday. That we check the pedigree. If a person's father officiated regarding the Mizbeach, no checking is needed beyond that point, because he was only allowed to officiate because he was confirmed as a person of pedigree. Otherwise, as a Kohen, they wouldn't allow him to officiate. So let's say the woman who he wants to take as a wife, her father is one of the officiants. There's no reason to check any longer. Right? It's clear she's a person of pedigree. So that's Ein Bodkim Mizbeach U'Lamalos Tosobi. I just went to the conclusion what he had said. Yes, the Mishnah doesn't mention. What about if a person signed on the document? Signed on the document, and the document was substantiated. It says if a person was accepted as a witness on a document, that itself is an indication of his pedigree, because they didn't allow anybody to sign on documents. That if a person was signed on a document, well, the signing a document is not as a witness. It's really, it's what we call a hentik. A court, the three people have to sign that this document was substantiated. So if he's part of that certification that the document is a legitimate document, that means he's a person of standing, of pedigree. He says that's the chiddush, because that's considered testimony. The Gemara says that if a person was qualified to duchen, they would allow him to duchen. That meant he was a Kohen that was checked, and he was certified to be a Kohen of standing. A Kohen receives truma. So what are we giving him truma? A person had to be evaluated to see if he's a legitimate person. If he's not, he's a cholol. He's not qualified to be given truma. So what's the chiddush? So truma, which is less than officiating the mizbeach, certifying a document, which is less than officiating. So you have to talk about officiating the mizbeach to be a kohen who does the avoda. Yishloma degamze enu revusa. Kev lo shaychel lekohanim. He says, because when we speak about officiating of truma, Nesias Kapayim, who's qualified to duchen? Only a Kohen. Who's the only one qualified to eat truma? Kohen. That's a chiddush. Why? The Mayri afil ba'avodas aksheros bizorim. We're not speaking about the avoda which only a Kohen is qualified. As the verse says, b'kabbalah ve'elach. From receiving the blood onward, only a Kohen is qualified to do that. Yes, it is. It is. It's an avoda which is kosher b'zor. A non-Kohen is qualified to do that. It says the Mishnah says dalat avoda same. There are four components to avoda: shchita, kabbalah, holacha, zrika. Slaughtering, receiving the blood, transporting the blood, sprinkling the blood. Those are the four avodas. So it's referred to as an avoda. Except a non-Kohen is qualified, right? Truma, it's nothing to talk about. Of course, if he's given truma, he's a Kohen. If he's duchening, he's a Kohen, because no one else is. But so here we're saying, in both even the avodos, which even a non-Kohen qualifies for, but since it's not normally given to the non-Kohen, if the Kohen officiate in that capacity, that's sufficient. That's sufficient proof that what? That he's a person of standing, of pedigree. Okay? Slaughtering or stripping the hide off the animal. Even Evet Kanani, if he slaughters, it's valid. That's only post facto. But as on an optimum level, we don't allow them. It has to be a Kohen who's kosher and he's miyuchos, even though it's redundant. He's a Kohen kosher, he's a miyuchos. Okay. But why was he a legitimate Kohen? They would have an evaluation procedure. Right. Correct. No question. No question. We had, what's his name? We had Yanai, right? He was a Hellenist, and he functioned as a Kohen Gadol, and they have nothing to say. I mean, he killed anybody who, when they criticized him, he killed all the Chachomim, put them to death. Correct. Definitely, no question. No question. Correct. No question. Duchen, this is the Levi. Okay, this is David's domain. If Duchen, the word Duchen means it was like on an elevated location. The Leviim would either play instruments or would sing. Gemara says, "Ein shira elo bepeh." Shira means bepeh. That's singing. My time, Dobar Shisham hayu yoshvim miyachsi kuna umiyachsi levio. Because they would have a court, which they would be a qualifying court, would make the evaluation. They would check the backgrounds of the Kohanim and the Leviim. Which Levi is a miyuchos and which Levi is not a miyuchos. He may not be. He may. Only a Levi is qualified to do the shira, to be a doorkeeper, to be a gatekeeper. Only Leviim. If you're not a Levi, you don't belong there. Okay. Lo misan. No, we're talking about.
So what happens to
the Kohen's marrying a Levio. She's a Bas Levi, and the Kohen's marrying a Bas Levi. Let's say let's say her father, right? Okay, so what is she really a Levi? Was the father a Levi? Maybe he's an illegitimate Jew. Who knows who he is? Maybe he's a mamzer. We do. We evaluate the Bas Yisrael too. No, we're saying if she's a Bas Levi, right? Maybe her father was a mamzer. Maybe his wife's a mamzeris. There's illegitimacy there. They would not allow him to duchen or to play the instrument and function in that capacity unless everything was 100%. So that tells us his daughter is 100%. On his child, his wife, correct? I mean, if a Kohen's married to a grusha, he doesn't officiate. He doesn't duchen, doesn't do any of this. No, but here we're saying not. Otherwise, what's checking the Levi? A chalolo. Right, because it's not a disqualification of. No. Good. If a Yisrael marries a chalolo, the daughter. No, right. No, the other way. No, it's the other way. If a cholo marries a kosher Jewish woman, then the daughter is kosher. Because the mother purges that defect. No, but that's the way we rule. Yeah, but we rule this way. Not sure the other. That's the way I think that's the way we rule. The mother has to be the kosher one. Otherwise it carries on. No, but I'm saying so. Could be because maybe that was checked. Now, v'lo b'sadeh. No. Right. I'm not sure. Maybe if he was, even though he's no, I'm not sure. Unless I'm not sure. No, because otherwise, what does the checking do? If he's qualified, we're checking him. So he's qualified. We're saying if he's officiating as a Levi, his daughter's clearly a kosher Jewess and qualified for the Kohen. Why? It wouldn't be a proof. Unless you say that if the Levi marries a Chalola, his child is permitted to a Kohen. The child, the daughter from that wife is going to be permitted to a Kohen. I'm not sure. Seemingly would be indicated from me she would be. V'lo b'Sanhedrin ulamalo. My timer. We're talking about this the Sanhedrin Gedolah. The Tanur of Yosef Shem Bezdin Menukin Mitzedek. Just as the Bezdin has to be above reproach in terms of their righteousness, Kach Menukin Mikol Mum. They cannot have any blemish. Now the Gemara is going to ask, what blemish? Is it a physical blemish? Because the halacha is the Mishnah says in Sanhedrin, let's say a person of the Sanhedrin is blind. It's a physical defect. He should not sit on the Sanhedrin. If he's maimed, he should not sit on the Sanhedrin. But here we're talking about spiritual defects. Kach menukin komum omerei mai kro. What's the basis for the pasuk? Kulach yofer rayosi umumein boch. My fellow yofer, kula yofer rayosi. You're all beautiful, umumein boch. You're unblemished. And this is referring to the Sanhedrin. Wait. Someone asks, how do we know this is speaking to regarding a spiritual blemish, like a mamzer? Emo, muma mamish. Maybe it means they cannot be physically blemished. But maybe a spiritual blemish is not a problem. Omer avach beYaakov Omer Kro. There's a pasuk. He said, Moshe Rabbeinu originally had said what? That the Jews are contentious, they're too much for him. He needs people to assist him. So he says, choose 70 people, I will pass your spirit on to them. Correct? And it says they began prophesizing, right? The whole story, Eldad Amedod. Somewhere says, Yisat Sham Imoch. What is Imoch? They should stand with you, Imoch, Bedomen Loch. They should be similar to you. So just as Moshe was legitimate, 100%, there was no, his pedigree was perfect. So the members of the Sanhedrin, their pedigree has to be a perfect pedigree. Somewhere says, that situation is speaking there because he passed his spirit on to them. So that was a unique situation because the Shekhinah was being passed on to them. That's the reason why they had to be perfect in terms of their pedigree. But an ordinary Sanhedrin, which is unrelated to the Shekhinah coming upon them, maybe they don't have to be perfect in their pedigree, right? Even if they're illegitimate, they qualify for the Sanhedrin, right? Omar Rav Nachum Akro, there's another part. It's not that pasuk. This is the story by Yisro, right? Moshe Rabbeinu originally he said he adjudicated everything himself. He says it's too much for you, and he says you should choose others to participate with you. They will carry the burden itoch with you. The itoch actually alludes that they have to be of similar standing as you. So just as your pedigree is perfect, their pedigree also has to be perfect. So it's not the pasuk regarding Eldad Umeidod, where Moshe Rabbeinu, with the spirit that he had, was passed on to them. It's regarding Yisro. Evidently not, because it's clear, right? Right. Correct. Okay. Yeah. It's a physical defect.
Right. Was there an issue of defect?
It was an issue.
There was an issue.
Yeah, but there it's different. It's different. A physical defect is only a tzatchila. With the Yevid, he still qualifies.
I'm saying that a physical defect prevents you from being out of the heaven.
Sanhedrin, correct.
What we're saying here is
Right. No, I was asking maybe it's speaking specifically a physical. That's what I'm saying. With the Yevid, a physical defect is not a problem. The tzatchila, it's not. It is a problem. It is a problem. But here it's even with the Yevid. A Kohen who's a member of the Sanhedrin who's illegitimate, the mamzer, he's not qualified to sit. He's not a qualified member of the Sanhedrin. Right. The other, he's qualified, but it's something he will not be chosen because of his physical defect. It's not Shekhinah. No, I would say, David, what you said about the Levi, because this is really, first it's a question, when did Yisrael come? Did he come before Kabbalah Torah, after Kabbalah Torah? So, this is before the story. Who officiated at this moment? The Bechorim. The firstborn were the Kohanim, right? I mean, if there were any Karbonos brought, it was the Kohanim. It was the Bechorim, not the Kohanim. So the whole value of Levi having a special value at this moment didn't exist. So if we're going to speak about we're going to speak about standard or classification, we're not going to say Levi, because at this moment Levi doesn't have that special classification.
Before Kohanim, Levi had no job.
No, Levi was nothing.
He was carrying the arrow, no?
This pre-Oro. The Yisro was pre-Oro.
Oh, Yisro.
This will bring the final person. David asked, well, maybe the pedigree should be you're a Levi to be a member of Sanhedrin. I'm saying at this moment, Levi didn't have any special value. That was only later, as a result of the Chet Egel. Okay, Kol mishuhursu avosa b'shotri harabim. Now, usually shoter means what? Law enforcer. But over here, shoter means that if a person is qualified to adjudicate monetary laws. Okay? L'meimro, lo mukvini psulim. So it seems to be for Bezdin, for momenos, for monetary. Apostle would not be qualified to sit on such a Bezdin. Reminu. Hakol kshem lodin dini momenos. We learned in the Mishnah, all are qualified to adjudicate, to convene and be part of a Bezdin of monetary. Bein hakol ksherim lodin dini nefashos. Hear this? Meaning, to sit on a Sanhedrin of Chav Gimel, that's called Sanhedrin Ketana, which could actually render decisions, death penalty. An illegitimate person not, but dini momenos, yes. So if that's, but Shotri Rabbim is dini momenos. Ba'avinu ba hakol asu yimai. What does hakol come to include? All are qualified to adjudicate dini momenos. V'amar Rav Yehuda lasu mamzer. Even a mamzer. So if it's even a mamzer, how could you say that what a person whose his parents or his forefathers, they were members of the Bezdin who adjudicated monetary, you don't be concerned. What do you mean? If a mamzer is qualified, so how being on that kind of court would be a proof that the pedigree is a pure pedigree? Amar Abai b'Yerushalayim. That we say that it would be proof that's only if they sat on the Bezdin Yerushalayim. Yerushalayim had another standard. So the halacha is the monetary, even an illegitimate Jew is qualified to be a member of the Bezdin. However, a monetary court in Yerushalayim, because Yerushalayim had another standard, he had to be of pedigree. So again, it's evident, it's rabbinical. It's rabbinical. Okay? What is Medusha de Bei Levi? The Mesechus Kedusha that was studied in the Beisan Shor Levi, he also explained, we learned Mesechus Kedushin, that when it says in both that if they're Shotri Rabbim, that's a confirmation they're a pedigree, it's being specifically Yerushalayim. Gabay Tztoka Masiyim. What's Gabay Tztoka? Personal what? What's a Gabay? Now it's interesting. The Mishnah tells us regarding Karbonos, let's say a person has to bring accepts upon himself, I will bring a shlomim. What's the halacha? And then afterwards, the Torah says if you delay 3 regalim, you're in violation of Al Ta'achir. Torah violation. Lo sa'achir l'shalmo. You should not delay fulfilling your obligation. You have 3 regalim. Okay? What happens if the person, he delays? So the Mishnah says in Erchin, mashki ala korbanos. You take a mashkin, they went and they seize property. What about something, a korban which is a korban kapora, like chatos? Ein mashkin ala, they don't take a mashkin. They don't take collateral to force the person to bring the korban. Why? Because we could say that if a person understands he needs kapora, we could say with certainty he'll address his own obligation, he'll do the right thing. But something which is not so simple, it's not an obligation. He just said, I'll do something, then we have to actually create a situation which will compel him to fulfill his obligation. Okay? No. Well, they tell him, you have to bring it. If not, they seize property. And that will compel them to bring the carbon. Now, what about the communal board? They made an evaluation that each member of the community has to give so much money to participate in covering the financial needs of the community. Man says, I'm not paying. I'm not giving. I'm not paying my share. So you had a gabbai tzedakah. You had the person who oversaw the collection of the obligations, financial obligations, members of the community to support certain needs of the community. Or it says sometimes you had to dredge the river, you had to dig water holes, you had to pave the roads, build the bridges. I mean, where did this come from? So very often, every year, people will be evaluated. The wealthier, the less wealthy, each one had to give a certain percentage of his earnings to cover the needs of the community or his assets. Man says, I'm not giving. What would they do? They would seize property, whether you liked it or not. What about if the gabbai would come Erev Shabbos? Erev Shabbos is slightly hectic. So because of the hecticness, usually very often there could be actually a whole ruckus in the house. Because the person who owes the money is under pressure because it's almost Shabbos. And all of a sudden the gabbai tzedakah says, where's the money? And he says, you don't pay? I'm seizing property for this. So there's sometimes the words exchange between the gabbai tzedakah and the head of the household. And when people start exchanging words, they say things which could be very embarrassing. So let's say the gabbai tzedakah would not be a person of pedigree. What do you say? You're a mamzer. You're a this or whatever it is. So because of that, the one who comes to collect, he's a person of pure pedigree. There's nothing he can say. My timer, cave in the minsu, bahadi inchi, since very often they're quarrelings between the gabbai tzedakah and the people who owe the financial debt. Domamar mashkin al tzedakah afil be'erev Shabbos. They're permitted to take collateral for what's owed, even if it's Erev Shabbos. So Rashi says, Erev Shabbos is pretty hectic. There's Rashi. No mashkonos al tzedakah sheyivsku alein ve'ina nosnon afil of shodom torud. The person's preoccupied. Ubetokach merivin imoyin. And therefore, they're very forceful. Umavazanoso. And sometimes they disgrace him. They have to resort to certain means, otherwise the man's not giving it, to force it out of him. Okay? Vim isa diika is lekolo. And if there is some kind of deficiency in his pedigree, we would know about it. Ushbezichne de Ravada Baravo. Ushbezichne means his host or his landlord. Landlord or Ravada, how's he translated the word Ushbezichne, David, over there? Ushbezichne. The host. Those are Ravada Giyurahava. He was a convert. Bahava komitzi iu v'rav bibi v'rav bibi. And there was a dispute between him and Rav Bibi. The dispute was between what? The landlord and Rav Bibi, or was it between Rav Ad Barab and the landlord? What does he say over there? It's unclear. We'll see in a moment. I understood it was between his host and Rav Bibi. What? Yeah. The host. Okay? It was afterwards. We'll see. It's a little complicated. Marama avidno sirusa demaso. He says, I want to oversee responsibilities of the community. Marama anavidno sirusa demaso. I mean, Rav Bibi was an upright Jew. He wasn't a ger. So the ger says, I'll oversee responsibilities of the community. And Rav Bibi says, I will. Ozl Kami to Rav Yosef. And evidently they both qualify. They're both capable of doing it. So they come before Rav Yosef that he should somehow settle this dispute. Amalu Tanina. So Rav Yosef says, we learned in the Mishnah, Som Tosam Alechem Melech. Says you should Som Tosam Lechamel, you should appoint a king. And what is the qualification? Mikerev achecho. He should be from the midst of your brothers. What does that mean? Kol Masim Shatomesim, any communal position, any appointmentship in the community, Lo Yeh Elo Mikerev achecho. He has to be a person of pedigree. Kerev achecho means he has to be a person which he's an original Jew. Mikerev achecho. So if that's the case, you don't qualify. So if it's a question of you or Rabibi, he qualifies, you don't qualify. Because it's undertaking a communal position to oversee the financial needs of the community. So it's a communal appointmentship over here. Amalei Ravado. So Ravado comes to defend, to be critical of Rav Yosef's statement, decision. He says, Vafilu im Yisrael. Hear this? Very important. You mean to say, what about his mother? His father may be a ger. Maybe they have not been Jewish, but his mother's a Jewish woman. Does it apply to that? We'll see that if the mother's Jewish, even if the father was a convert, he's considered a person of pedigree. Even though from the paternal side, it's a ger. He says, Vafilu im Yisrael, Amalei im Yisrael v'ker v'chach l'kavinu. So Rav Yosef retracted. He says, no, if his mother is Jewish, originally Jewish, that's called ker v'chach. So this person, his father may be a ger, but his mother was Jewish. So if that's the case, he's as qualified as Rabibi. Because he's telling me the reason why Bibi's more qualified, because he's Mikerev Achecho. And because he's a ger, he's not. But since his mother's Jewish, he's also Mikerev Achecho. I understand that, but it means in his pedigree, from the paternal side, I mean, let's say there'd be a question of inheritance, right? You divide the land, right? The story of Shlomo's Bas Dibri, right? From Sheva Dan, he wanted a portion. They said, you have no portion. Your father was a goy. So ger is no better than that in regard to that. See, maybe that would be a deficiency in his pedigree, but evidently the Torah says not. So Rabbi Adam Rava, the tenant or the guest who was hosted by this person, he's coming to his defense. So when he heard that, his Hilkoch, Rabibi the Gaber Rabbahu. You hear this? So how do we settle the dispute? So if they both have sufficient qualifications, so who should receive what level of responsibility versus the community? Rabibi the Gaber Rabbahu. He's not just Rabibi because he's Jewish from the paternal and the maternal side. He says because he's an Odom Gadol, he's a great Torah sage. Lai bebilu d'shmaya. Whatever pertains to the spiritual responsibilities of the community, he should oversee that. Umar and the host, your host, Lai b'mili d'masa. All the mundane, physical, material needs of the community, he should oversee that. So they'll both receive an appointmentship. One is overseeing the spiritual needs of the community. The other is the material needs of the community. So Rashi, what is the difference? What is the material? What's the spiritual? The Gabbai Tzedakah. Who can be the Gabbai Tzedakah? Who can be the ones to go and collect the financial needs that the community evaluate each person for? Kitzusa. Kitzusa means they mount. B'chaklukusa. V'seidim Maturgamanim. You had a certain rotation. Maturgaman. You had the interpreter of the parsha, or people who would represent the person who was giving the lecture. Umaftirin, meaning the ones who would be the gabbai in shul, the shul, oversee the shul. Mil the master sharitzorchi tzibor ledivrei arishus, l'tuzino lekari apasio, legally gapo means to dig the water holes, and igle gapo meaning if there would be mounds to straighten out the roads, that would be the other person's responsibility. I'll tell you an interesting story with Yaakov, which has similar to this. He's the Gavar Rabbah. He should be involved in the spiritual needs of the community, and he being not the Gavar Rabbah. So the deficiency is not because his father was a ger. It's because he's not a Gavar Rabbah. That's how we divide it. So there was a story many years ago. This was in St. Louis. There was a wedding in a conservative temple. Not in the sanctuary, in the wedding hall. So Moshe has a tshuva that you're not permitted to go into if it's a conservative, you shouldn't go. It's not, you shouldn't go there. If it would be in the sanctuary itself. That's very often they use the sanctuary for the ceremony. Then you have the meal in the catering hall. Whatever. So there was an incident, and there's a question to go to the wedding or not. He was a member of the community. And so my father-in-law, Lashon, called Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky. So my mother-in-law said, it's in the social hall, it's in the banquet hall, it's not in the, what should we do? So Rabbi Yaakov said, he says, your wife should go, but you shouldn't go. Why? He explained. He says, because your involvement and the way you're seen as a supporter of Torah, and you have a certain standing, and the way you're seen by other people, involved with Torah institutions, so on and so forth, therefore, it would be inappropriate for you to go. But your wife, she could go. That was his compromise between the two of them. That was a Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky's psak. Of course, one would be considered unbecoming. The other, for your wife, it's okay. It would not be covered at Torah for you to go. It would be a bad reflection. So I'm saying, here it's a little different. You're the Gavar Rabbah, so you have a certain capacity. You oversee one aspect of the community. Him having a lesser capacity, but he's a capable person, he oversees the material needs of the community. That was the compromise between the two of them, to divide responsibilities. So the Gemara says, Omer Abaye Hilkach Mad Mishri Tzurmin Rabbanon Bishbuzichne. He says, a person who hosts Tzurmin Rabbanon means an upcoming Torah sage. Tzurmin Rabbanon means he's well-weathered. He's a well-weathered Talmud Chacham. La'ashri Ravada Barava. The type of person you should host should be Ravada Barava. Why? The Yodel Mapich Legischusei. Because he came to the defense. Originally, Rav Yosef ruled that he's not qualified. Because he said, and since your father was a ger, you're not qualified. So what was Ravada Barava? He came to the defense. He says, but what about if the mother's Jewish? So if he wouldn't have said anything, he would have been disqualified, totally disqualified. So it says if you're going to host anybody, the guest your host should be similar to Ravada Barava, who tries to legitimize the host. He comes to the defense of the host. Rab Zera metapabu, Ravada Barava metapabu. So Rashi said this is very important. Both Reb Zera and Ravada, they do whatever they can. A person who had this kind of background, although in the background there was conversion, he would do what he can to esteem and give special value to these people. If they could appoint them in a position of honor, they would appoint them. To make them feel that they're no less than any other Jew. Because factually, halachically, they weren't. To be continued.